welcome everyone. Let's finish finding our seats. Welcome, my name is Brooke Hafes, Vice President of Donor Engagement for On Broadway. My pleasure to welcome you here this morning. A lot of returning faces, a lot of friendly faces, so thank you all for attending. I'm impressed every year at how people return year after year to this event, so we must be doing something right. All right, so those of you who know Brian Johnson, you know that every year we pretty much put a wager on if he'll stay to his time frame. So we're taking, suggestions of what he'll give his staff if he goes long. So if you have any ideas, 2 extra weeks of vacation, a weekend in Bermuda, usually it's a dinner. So we'll try to keep him on time. Mary, our VP of Marketing and Communications, has those times to tell him when his time is up, and we know he sees them. He's got good peripheral vision, so he can't ignore them. All right, so again, thank you for joining us. On Broadway is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that does rely heavily on the support of the community to carry out our mission. So I touched point with a lot of you who walked in here today. It is the 30th anniversary of On Broadway and the Broadway District. Woo! So those of you who have been fortunate enough to celebrate an anniversary of this magnitude, either personally or professionally, you know that year 30 is the year of the Pearl. So thanks to our incredible sponsor, Diamonds and Gold, we have 3 beautiful pearl necklaces. You can see them over by the table, over by the doorway over there. And if you donate $30, for every $30 you donate today, you have a chance to win one of these beautiful pearl necklaces. They vary in value between $150 and $200. So that'll be going on until about 8:30 this morning. There are QR codes in the center of your table if you didn't get a chance to visit us at the table. But Fatma, if she's over there to wave, Fatma, wave your hand. She is going to be manning a table over there until 8:30. We are accepting cards, cash, checks, and again, QR codes. QR code on your screen, in your program. It's everywhere. There's no reason to miss it. If you did register online and donated, your name is already in the raffle. So those of you watching virtually, just so you know that. And we will be selecting the winner at the end of your program today. Let's see, again, can't emphasize enough the importance of community support for our organization to keep making positive change and impact in the Broadway District. For those of you who have supported us time and time again over the years, I would like to express my sincere appreciation for believing in us, believing in our team, our mission, and letting me get to know all of you on a much deeper level. So thank you for letting me get to know you all. It's been a pleasure. All right. In my role, I've really been lucky to see the generosity of Green Bay, and it's really inspiring. So it is now my pleasure to welcome On Broadway's board president, Linda Bova, to the stage, and she will be our MC for today's presentation. Linda.
Thank you, Brooke. That was me pre-COVID, so. Brooke asked me for a picture, and I was like, I don't like having my picture taken. I don't like looking at myself, and then she gets that one, so thanks, Brooke. All right, good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. First and foremost, I'd like to invite you all in thanking Dale Anderson for the wonderful music that accompanied our networking event this morning. Dale, your talent truly set the tone for the event, and we're grateful for the atmosphere you helped to create. Today's event is extra special as we're not just gathering to reflect the success of our district, but also to celebrate the 30th anniversary of On Broadway, Inc. and the Broadway District. What a milestone this is. 30 years of growth, transformation, and community building. It's remarkable to think back to where we started and to see where we are now. I hope you all had a chance to take in some of the historic photos on display of the Broadway District during this morning's networking session, courtesy of the UW Green Bay Archives Department at the Coffran Library. These images remind us of the rich history and character that has shaped this district, from its humble beginnings to the vibrant, thriving hub it is today. The Broadway District has truly evolved. It's been amazing to witness the transformation of this area from a place steeped in history to a dynamic center of arts, culture, and commerce. As we look back at these past 30 years, we can be proud of how the Broadway District has grown and adapted. The energy of this district continues to attract new businesses, artists, and visitors from near and far, all while staying connected to its roots. We've seen new developments, beautiful renovations, and innovative programs that continue to strengthen this community. I'm excited about what the future holds for our district. We've accomplished so much, but there's still so much more to come. Together, we'll continue to build on the successes of the past, honor the history that has brought us here, and push forward with even more exciting projects and opportunities. I'd also like to take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude to today's generous sponsors and supporters, without whom this event wouldn't be possible. Renewal by Anderson, TDS, ISG, and the Business News. Thank you for your ongoing support. A special shout out to our Broadway District businesses, Hawkins Ash CPAs, Creative Results, Apex Real Estate Team, and Liberty Title and Abstract. Your contributions truly make a difference in our community. We also have some special touches that make today even more memorable. The beautiful table centerpieces you see around the room are provided by Pedal Pusher, one of our very own Broadway District businesses. A big thank you to Copper State Brewing Company for providing the coffee and keeping us energized throughout the event. For our 30th anniversary giveaway, we're so grateful to Diamonds and Gold for donating the stunning pearl necklaces that will surely be a cherished keepsake for the lucky winners. Our event's AV services are brought to you by Harmonic Productions, ensuring everything runs smoothly today. The stylish 30th anniversary tote bags are generously provided by Global Recognition. LiveX, another Broadway District business, has been kind enough to offer live streaming services so we can share today's event with a wider audience. We also want to thank Bernstein's Candies for their sweet contribution of box chocolates to celebrate their 100th anniversary this year. And last but certainly not least, we owe a huge thank you to Tommy and the team at Gather for providing this beautiful venue and the delicious food we're enjoying today. Thank you to each and every one of these amazing sponsors and businesses. Your support helps make the Broadway District what it is today. We are so grateful to you all. Let's continue to grow and thrive together. Before we move forward, I'd like to take a moment to also express our deepest appreciation to our presenting sponsor for today's event, American National Bank. I'm Broadway Inc.'s truly grateful for your continued support of the Broadway District and all you do to help this community thrive. Thank you for your partnership and commitment. Now please join me in welcoming Paul Northway, President and CEO of American National Bank, to the stage.
Thank you. Good morning. How's everybody doing? All right. It's an honor to be here today representing American National Bank. We're a proud supporter of small businesses and entrepreneurs. In this room, who's a small business owner? We have a fair amount of hands? Yeah, fair amount. Thank you. As a community bank, we know that small businesses are the backbone of our local economy. And our purpose is very simple, to help business owners beat the odds. So being at an event like this, being part of the downtown fabric, being in and around small business is just an honor for us to be a part of. My team is here. A lot of our team is here. Just hands up. This is the A and B team. Thanks for joining. Yeah, come on, clap. Yeah, it's okay. Come on. I'm a morning person, so let's get going. All right. All right, I want to share a few things today, just a few insights about the economy. Everybody always asks the banker about the economy. I feel like that Progressive Auto commercial. What's the economy, the kid asks. I think I have about as many answers as that Progressive team in the commercial. All right, the economy, a few things here. Clearly, we can say resilient. The economy, despite a lot of uncertainties, has really held its own. We're nowhere near any kind of a landing, soft or hard. It's just this resilient economy that keeps buzzing along, and that's overall pretty good for business. I would say inflation, keep an eye on it. I'm not sure it's going away. I'm not sure that a lot of the things that they're trying to craft in Washington are not going to be inflationary. So what that means for people in the room and people that ask us questions, interest rates are where they are. They're going to stay elevated for a little while. They're not going to go down anytime fast, and they're not going to plummet. Yesterday we had numbers that came out. Actually, it might have been Friday. Retail sales are down 0.9%. That's more than expected. So then we start to ask ourselves, is that a blooper month, or is this real? Is it a trend? Behind the scenes, look at a few things. The costs actually rose in spending categories such as restaurants, bars, general merchandise, and gasoline. Consumers are still spending. However, what does that mean? We can say from a banking industry, we know this is a fact. Personal savings, aggregate, pandemic-era excess savings, all that stimulus, small business and personal, it's evaporated. Used to be in our banks. It's not in our banks anymore. It's gone. So savings have plummeted, and consumers, this is loud and clear from the data, consumers are paying for the impact of inflation, this continued spending like last month, through increased revolving consumer credit. So a lot of things going on. That might be something that's continued to prop up the economy, is the way that consumers are spending. What else is happening? Good news, access to capital, specifically access to financing. The good news with all this stuff going on, banks are lending money. Loud and clear, small business owners, banks are lending money. Technology and efficiency gains. Now more than ever, it's a little easier being a small business owner, and I'm not projecting that. I am a small business owner. We have about 35 employees. We're one of you. Loud and clear, we're one of you. So through new tools from AI to workflow automation, it's making it easier for us to be more cost effective, to manage our operations, reach customers, and scale business. So we're living in great times that the tools out there are making it easier for us to run our small business. Workforce shortages, loud and clear, again, something finding and keeping great employees is still a top concern. What do we have to do as business owners? Invest in workplace culture over and over. Double and triple down on your culture. Training and retention efforts. Okay, I'm going to wrap up with a couple of comments. Community banks. I'd be remiss if I didn't get up here and just say that community banks matter. When banking decisions are made in distant headquarters, local economic needs and opportunities may be overlooked. It's a fact. For every $100 deposited into a local bank, $58 is invested locally. For large banks, that number drops to just $36. This isn't to demonize big banks, it's just to point out the facts of the amazing impact that community banks have. In our town here, we are fortunate to have local bank options. We do, we have several. Look across the river, we can see a couple of buildings. Look down the street, we can see a building. We have local bank options. While shopping local and buying local are important, so is banking local to make this ecosystem thrive. All right, yes, challenges exist, but small businesses have always been adaptable, resilient, and innovative. I admire that in all of you. It inspires me as we run our business. The impact you have on Greater Green Bay is huge. Now's the time for us to keep leaning into smart growth, bold moves, and building strong relationships. Thank you for allowing us this opportunity. Enjoy the event.
Thanks, Paul. All right. Now it's my privilege to introduce the President and CEO of On Broadway, Inc., Brian Johnson. Brian has served in his role since May of 2016, and his unwavering dedication to the success and growth of the Broadway District has been nothing short of inspiring. His passion for making the Broadway District and the city of Green Bay a better place to live, work, and play is truly evident in everything he does. Please join me in welcoming Brian Johnson.
I'll take that, though. Thank you, Linda. All right, we on? Good. Thank you, everybody. What another amazing day. We had, I say this every year, and I get to say it again this year, another record-setting registration for this event. We had to actually shut off registration today at 300, which is way beyond Gather's capacity. But we said, look, I mean, not everybody shows up, but you showed up. And not only did you show up, but we have another, I think 150 people registered online as well. So another new record, and we're really grateful and humbled to have your support showing up for this event every single year. You know, one of the things, I gave our staff a little bit of heart palpitations last night. I was in Orlando, and you know, when we looked at the board, every flight was delayed, and missed my connecting flight. Thankfully, though, this is when you know if your staff, you know, how motivated they are. They knew if I wasn't here this morning, they were going to have to do the presentation. So when I missed my connecting flight, Brooke immediately said, get your tail over to B12. It's going to Milwaukee, and you're going to rent a car, and you're going to get home. And that is exactly what happened. And so got in about 4 o'clock last night, but I got inside that rental car and flipped on Sabrina Carpenter. There I go again, saying the quiet part out loud. Please, 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 drive through the night. Okay, so we made it, and thankfully, staff doesn't have to present, or actually maybe that would have been better for all of you. So, but we're going to get through this, and so let's get started. First off, we like to kind of set some groundwork when we start. Just to give you a little bit of an understanding of our mission, our vision, and then, of course, our district vision, because we exist as an organization, and that is really what our mission and vision are about. But we have a district vision because even though we are an organization that operates here, we are representing a district. And sometimes, you know, that vision is a little bit differently, and that's why these things are articulated differently. And as part of that, this was something that was created many years ago by Joe from Profit and his team when Joe was on the board. And it's really thinking about what are we called to do and how we do it. And safety in our district is critically important, as it is in every downtown area. Excuse me, courtesy, communicate often, execution, and plus the district, which is one of my favorite ones. And it's always, you know, you can do the average, but how do you plus the district? How do you go above and beyond to really make what we're doing down here special, not only for the visitors who come to our district, but the businesses that call this district home? And we are a Wisconsin Main Street community, and within that framework, we are part of the National Main Street organization, which is Main Street America. And so it's Main Street at the top, Wisconsin Main Street underneath that. And then we have our 501c3 nonprofit organization on Broadway, and then the Broadway Business Improvement District, which is a separate entity that we work very closely with. It has to be separate because bid districts are regulated by state statute. Okay. So as a Main Street program, this is a almost 50-year model now that the National Main Street framework follows. This is how our accreditation works. This is how every Main Street program flows. Even if you're part of the International Downtown Association, it's the same framework. They just call it different things. But economic vitality, really making sure that you're focused on the businesses and that you've got the right mix, the right businesses in the right spaces. We talk about design, which is really referring to urban design. Right, so it's your streetscape, it's public art, installations, historic preservation, a lot of those things that are really important to creating a sense of place. We talk about organization, which is a strong board of directors. It's individuals involved in committees and doing different things. It's a stable volunteer system. You have a stable financial setup within your organization. The last thing is promotion. Promotion is about marketing your assets, but it's also about promoting the district in a way that attracts people to come visit. And of course, this is where events become a real critical place for Main Streets across the country. It's making sure that you're doing things that attract people to come to your district. We are on the left side of the screen here, the purple, that is the Broadway District. And we are bound by roughly Ashland Avenue and the river, Mather Street to the north, which is near where the homeless shelter is and the clinic, and then on the south by Mason Street. And then on the east side of the river is where you'll see downtown Green Bay and Old Main Street, incredible partners of ours that we'll talk about a little bit later. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've accomplished over the past year. This is, after all, for us, an annual meeting. But then secondarily, we want to share a little bit of some of the things that we intend to work on in the coming years. And so when we go through these, we like to hit the organizational pillar first, because we are nothing if we don't have a strong board of directors. And so I really do want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank them. Linda, obviously you met, but I would like to ask if anybody from the board is here today, if you could please stand and be recognized. Go ahead, don't be shy. All right. So we've got Drew and Barb, Gail and Linda, thank you. These folks are incredibly talented and offer a lot of insight to really help guide the decision-making process that we have as a nonprofit organization. We thank you for your service and your leadership. The other folks, actually real quickly, that neglected to put a slide in, but I do want to acknowledge and thank our elected officials. One of the things that we do as a Main Street program is it's really important for us to connect with our elected officials to understand the value that we offer as an organization. And so I know there have been a number of folks who have to come and go, but if you are an elected official, I would also like to ask you to please stand and be recognized. So I see we have Supervisor Thino, Supervisor Borchert, who does represent the Broadway District, both from Brown County, Alder Alyssa Proffitt with the City of Green Bay. Senator Jamie Wall was here, but had to head down for the governor's announcement today. And I know Executive Streckenbach and Mayor Genrich are coming in and out. They have a couple of other events and commitments that they're trying to juggle here. So very grateful for everybody's support on that front. Okay, so when we talk about our board, of course, the sub part of that is committees. We really like to get people involved at a lot of different levels. And some of the things that we are working on, we have kind of what we call governance and management committees. Governance are responsible for the governance of the organization. Very excited that Gail McNutt has agreed to lead the formation of a governance committee this year. Drew, our treasurer, leads our finance committee. We have Linda, who also, in addition to On Broadway, is the president of our Business Improvement District Board. So we're grateful for her leadership on that front as well. And then we will be forming a couple of other committees to help us this year, because COVID, really did a number to a lot of organizations. And one of those things was when we lost all of our staff, our committees, it became impossible to manage all that with just me. So some of them were dissolved, and we are in the process of resurrecting those this year, which will include a number of what we call management committees, which exist really for the support of the staff. And those are things like your design committee, maybe you have special event committees, things that are really intended, again, to get more people involved around your organization, because when people are involved, it obviously builds that ambassadorship to help create a successful program. And then the staff, and we are the folks that do the work on a daily basis. We have an incredible team. I'm very proud of the folks that we have. One person missing here, Carrie Williams, who just left our organization. We're very excited for her. As I've always said, if I lose staff to a lateral move, that's a failure on my part. But if we lose staff because they are able to take advantage of a new opportunity or they've grown in their career, I am going to cheerlead that every day. And we're very proud of Carrie, who just accepted a general manager role of an organization over in De Pere. And then, of course, this is the remainder of our staff. So if I could real quickly just ask our staff to stand up as well and be recognized. So Allie is our Chief Operating Officer and oversees, all of our events and streetscape enhancements. Brooke, our VP of Donor Engagement, who you met at the beginning. Mary Rhodey, who is our VP of Marketing and Communications. And that spans not only on Broadway, but the public market as well. Ron is our Vice President of Operations for the public market. He's been doing a great job with getting our tenants lined up. Whoop, whoop. There we go. Thanks, Albert, for that. Betsy is our special events and volunteer manager, and I know a lot of you have the opportunity to interact with her. Quincy, our digital media manager, so everything social media, website, newsletter, which is a lot for a small organization because of the amount of things we have to communicate. Fatma, who is our diverse business assistant manager and who's been doing some great work there over the last few years. Laura, our office manager, and last but not least, Rob, who is our property manager for Old Fort Square. Okay, we invest heavily in professional development. We think it's critically important. We get to take advantage of some things by being a Main Street program that really allow us to connect with our peers at a state level and a national level. But we do invest more than the average organization here because we think it is so important to the work that we do to make sure that we're positioned well to interact with the business and property owners in our district. We also like to, whenever possible, recognize those accomplishments. Brooke was a 40 under 40 with Insight Magazine this past year. And I think this is a Leadership Green Bay photo, the Greater Green Bay Chamber, and the wonderful program they have, and the Market Coalition that Allie's a part of. So we really like to encourage our staff to get involved. In addition, we also do a number of study trips throughout the year. Some of these are required, quite frankly, for us to get our accreditation. Wisconsin Downtown Action Council is a statewide organization. We're going to be in Beloit with them here later this year. The National Main Street Conference was in Birmingham, and it's so interesting to go and see these cities and the different stages of development that they're in and the different things that you can learn and bring back home. And then we also, as part of the Levitt grant that we receive, there's a national convening in Los Angeles, and our team will be headed out to that shortly as well. And so it is such a great opportunity for them to interact with our other peers throughout the country. Partners are really important to our organization. And we partner with a lot of different folks. And Fatma has been doing some great work with creating partnerships with organizations in our community that historically have been absent from what we do downtown. And that's not okay. And we think it's really important that downtowns belong to the entire community. They belong to everybody. And if you're going to be inclusive, you have to make sure everybody has a seat at the table. And so we're really grateful for the work that she's been doing. Of course, partnerships with the city of Green Bay and downtown Green Bay, who's a great partner on the east side with whom we work very closely. And then we have our business partners, Fox Communities Credit Union up there in the upper right-hand corner, who's been a great ally of ours. And so we're really grateful for all of the assets that people bring to the table that allow us to be successful. As I mentioned, we are a nonprofit organization, and so our volunteers are critically important. Quincy used to manage this program and built a really great foundation, and Betsy took that over and has really worked on making it better and stronger. And as you can see from there, our total unique volunteers had over a 16% increase from last year. That is a lot of volunteers. This program was recognized as the best volunteer program in the state of Wisconsin, I think 2 years ago. And so we're really proud of the way that we've built that up. We haven't always had that emphasis, but it allows us, again, to build that network of people around what we do. Over 4,000 hours, which comes up to $135,000 value. And so we've done the volunteer awards as part of this event in the past. One of the things that we've talked about is that we didn't feel like it did it justice. We really want to recognize and honor and make our volunteers feel special. So this year, Betsy coordinated our first ever volunteer awards event, which was hosted last week at the Depot. And it really gave us an opportunity to make those folks feel very special around what they do. And then, of course, it wouldn't be an annual meeting if we didn't bore you with financials. And these are in our annual report, which I believe is in the bag. And so certainly if anybody ever has any questions around these, please do come talk to us. These financials, of course, are tilted quite a bit from what you might normally see because of investments into our capital campaign. But this is certainly in an area where On Broadway has performed much better since the pandemic. And we're grateful for all the donors and sponsors and supporters that allow this to happen. One of the things that was new with the Main Street program this year, they had a new accreditation process, and I'm very happy to report that we were one of only a handful of organizations in the state of Wisconsin, and even nationally, the pool wasn't that large compared to the total number of Main Street programs, but we were a gold tier accredited status. So it was first year, and we were able to achieve that right away. So very grateful again for everybody here in our community that allowed us to make that happen. Okay, design is the second pillar, and it's one of my favorites because this is kind of the cool stuff. We talk about the streetscape, right, when we do design, and how do you make your place just feel really warm and inviting and a space where you want to spend time? And you talk about things that oftentimes you might not think about, right? Things like banners and benches and garbage cans and parklets and lighting. And sometimes when you visit communities, you take these things for granted. But on the back end, there are very intentional decisions that are made so that when you experience a streetscape, that it's a place you want to spend time. We talk about things like lighting and the investment that we make in this, and it's more than just Christmas lights at the holiday season, around the holiday season. It's the lighting that you see up and down the street all throughout the year. And you talk about bringing in seasonal decor, whether it's your winter months or your fall months, as you see here. It's making sure that your plantings are that they look good, right? It's actually a walk that you want to take when you go through a Main Street program. It's that first impression when you experience a downtown. And it's about getting people involved in your district. We love partnering with Encompass, who is right down the road. Every year these kids get out and plant, and it is so exciting for them to be able to watch, that bowl just flourish and grow throughout the year, and knowing that they had a part in making that happen. But it's how your district presents as well. And our volunteer program is really important for this, because we talk about picking up trash that happens twice a month. We do weeding I think that happens maybe once or twice a month as well. Whether it's in the sidewalk cracks or the planter bowls or the planter boxes, it's about getting the spring and fall cleanup and getting things looking neat. Nobody else does that. It's the volunteers that show up and make that happen. Public art is a critically important piece of Main Street communities. This wasn't an area, at least when I started, that wasn't really being paid attention to, and we've really doubled down on it, and it's because of our donors and sponsors that have allowed us to do that. When people walk through your downtown, if you're going to create a walkable community, something that's friendly, you have to make the walk interesting. And you do that through public art and through color. And we have put in over 50 murals in the last 3 to 4 years. And they're all over the place, right? You've probably seen them. If you go to our website, there's a mural walk that we have published. The city has done a great job of putting in some murals over by the Shipyard area. But it is a really cool walk and a really good experience that you can take now. But we also do things like sculptures and pop-up pieces. We did this piano a number of years ago. The weather really does a number on it and doesn't play so well. But it was something that we did, and we said we don't care, because even if the piano doesn't work, it is a cool piece of art, and now that's actually staged inside the premiere in one of our Broadway businesses. But it's about bringing in those things that are cool. It's that vibrancy, that color, that pop. This is in front of our dog park that we did 2 years ago now, last year. This was done during the Ignite Market this past year. And then we bring in these sculptures. This was part of an Ignite project. So a lot of times we like to marry this with the events that we're doing. This was an insect hotel led by a couple of our local artists, and they built it over a series of events, and it allowed the community to participate. So this wasn't just the artists. They've got the high-level idea, but this is a way for our community to get involved with it. Coming this year, we did already a request for proposal to bring in some artists to do our electrical boxes. So those contracts are in progress of being let out, and we have a number of electrical boxes throughout the district that have been identified for these types of treatments. We also think about things, your traditional amenities, bike racks. Bike racks don't have to be boring and normal, right? And you can incorporate public art with the functionality of it. And how do you the Main Street District has done a really great job with this. Park in the Art, they used to call it. Not used to, I suppose you still do, right, Jeff? Jeff doesn't know. Jen, is that right? Yep, okay. So, but make these things look cool. Another thing that our Business Improvement District, and by the way, on the bike racks, we have a really great partnership with Fox Communities Credit Union and the Business Improvement District, where the bid matched what Fox had put into this program to allow us to expand these. And so we're really excited to get some of these out into the district this year. So just kind of take that as an opportunity. Anyone in the room, if your organization has an idea, we'd love to talk to you, because there are really creative ways that we can do that. Business Improvement District has allocated some funding for creative public seating. You need your functional benches. Those are important, and we're going to continue to do that. But sometimes you can sprinkle in something that's a little cool and funky, right? And allows you to just experience that space in a really different way. Because you want people sitting on your benches. Benches aren't just there to sit empty. You want people to use them. Lighting is important, and this is an area where we really, as we start to look into next year and beyond, this is an area where we really want to expand. I was following a program called Georgetown Glow for many years. I thought it was cool. They did these huge light installations with artists that would come from all over the country, and I kid you not, I was in Washington, D.C. a couple years ago with my kids on vacation, and everybody's like, oh, you got to go check out this little city outside of D.C. It was Georgetown. I had no idea that it was the same Georgetown, and I stumbled into the Georgetown Glow, the place that I had been following for years, and that was really neat. But you can do different light installations where these are, again, artistic and sometimes temporary presentations. Really inviting, especially in the evening hours. But lighting can sometimes be functional, right? And how do you make your buildings look good and encourage your property owners to make those investments? How do you make your alleyways that are typically dark and project a sense of being unsafe? And how do you lighten them up and make people actually want to go for a walk through that? Streetscape design standards. ISG has been our partner on this. We're really grateful for that, and the city of Green Bay and downtown Green Bay as well. We advocated for the allocation of some ARPA funds a couple years ago, and we said, look, when we visit downtowns, what is the thing that separates average downtowns from great downtowns? And it's the way you experience your streetscape, and this is why I care so much about design. And we weren't paying attention to that. You would see like a light, there's a traffic light over here, right? Where we have all black fixtures in the district. The light fixture went out and it got replaced with what was available in the yard, which was a yellow fixture, right? Now think about the way that projects, right? Where you start to kind of just plop these things together. Or if you go throughout the district, sometimes you can find 10 different lighting fixtures for your street lights. That level of inconsistency isn't what creates a really great downtown feel. I want you to think about the downtowns you have visited that have given you the most satisfaction. More often than not, it's because they have things like public art and beautiful plantings and a consistent streetscape. And so our first order of business with that design contract is really to create a set of design standards so that when a light fixture goes out, it gets replaced with this one, right? When a bench needs to be put in, this is the bench we use. This is the pavement treatment that we look at. So sometimes it can be plain old concrete, but sometimes you might want to put some color in there, or you might want to stamp or add some bricks. And so it may seem trivial to most, but when you have consistent streetscape design standards that the city stands behind as well, that when the maintenance is required, these things are replaced and taken care of in a way that creates a really warm and welcoming downtown. The other thing that I want to share with you that ISG has also been working on under a separate agreement, a technical grant that we received from the state of Wisconsin. I want you to think about this Hubbard Street corridor over here, right? A little nub where the Red Sculpture Park is, and then it goes back this way where we used to have a street grid that streets were vacated and cut off, and it really gets to be a little bit clumsy back there. And so we're trying to imagine a different way of using this Hubbard Street corridor. And even, we call it Red Sculpture Park. It doesn't have an official name. It just has a red sculpture, and it's a very literal iteration. But how do we use that differently? And could this be like a woo nerf, right? And if you're not familiar with the term, it's a street that might be predominantly driven by pedestrians, but vehicles can still pass through it. And so where you see the green items there where the red sculpture area is, can that be almost like a public plaza, right? Where you can even have sort of the things that come up and blockade the street, the bollards when you want to have a small event there, but otherwise it's accessible and passable. So it's an opportunity for us to create a different design for how people experience that corridor. And this just gives you a little sense, right, of how we can experience our spaces differently. It's wonderful that we have streets that can move cars, but at the end of the day, downtowns thrive on pedestrians. Cars don't shop, people shop, and you have to create spaces where people want to spend time. It's always, for us, it's about tracking how much time, on average, people spend in the district, and how do we extend that? Because if they come in and get their haircut, we don't want them to leave right away. We want them to come get their haircut, and then we want them to grab a cup of coffee, and then we want them to go to a restaurant for lunch, right? And so it's about creating spaces that encourage that and invite that. This is a really great project that we've also been working on with ISG as part of the design project in downtown Green Bay. This came through in our shared vision corridor plan that we did a couple years ago during the pandemic as well, but it was this concept of a loop. It was called City Loop, and it was, hey, how many of you have thought about this, right? Crossing the bridge, you don't want to do it, it's scary, it's, I don't know, east versus west, that whole Green Bay thing, right? But we need to get people out walking. And very coincidentally, the blue loop that you see there is exactly a mile. So how do we encourage people to get out walking? The purple loop is where you see a higher concentration of businesses and amenities. And now I'm going to tie this back into something that the Greater Green Bay Chamber was working on as part of the downtown task force. Indianapolis in particular had this, and it was a cultural trail. And that project sort of looked at other spokes, if you will, that went to other parts of the community. But what we decided to do is take that theme and boil it down. Let's start somewhere, and let's start with downtown. And let's start with the loop. And so we have an inner loop and an outer loop. Kind of sounds like belly buttons, any outies. But this is something that we've been working on, and it identifies a lot of the key assets within that loop area. And then we're going to actually brand this and encourage people to walk it. We want to create a more walkable community, and sometimes you got to eliminate those barriers. And part of that, I hope, will come with some enhancements to the bridges. Think about when you've ever seen a photo of Amsterdam, right? And you've got like nice flower pots along the bridge handles. And it just makes it more warm and inviting and encourage people to take that walk. And so we did survey our businesses and property owners down here, other key stakeholders. What should we name this loop? City Loop's pretty generic. And when you go to a lot of communities, you see things that are really rooted in the historical significance of that area. And Green Bay has a lot of history here. And so we wanted something that could tie it back to that. And so we surveyed our business owners, and the outcome of that was the La Baie Loop. So if you're not familiar with La Baie, that was the first French settlement here in Green Bay along the river in the 1600s. It's not a term you hear a lot. You hear a lot about Nicolet, right? And Jean Nicolet, who landed here in the 1600s. But the French settlement itself, I mean, some references, but not a ton. And so it may, at first, right, seem like, I don't know how to say that. I'm not French either. But over time, we know this is, once we brand this and we get out the signage, this is an example of some sort of temporary signage that we want to put out. But this is something we want to continue to invest in. The Indianapolis Cultural Trail did not happen overnight. It happened over a period of time. And we're really excited about the way that we're going to brand this loop and encourage people to take those walks and really invite them to be a part of the history of the area. And last in the design area, historic preservation, something that doesn't get nearly enough attention when we talk about it. But the city, or the Broadway District, is home to 3 different historic districts. And we work very hard with those property owners to try to preserve those properties to the best of our ability. We have a couple of properties, the ones that are purple, Joe Fisk House in Chicago. That's the Depot restaurant, that are on the National Registry. But the properties within those historic districts, we work really hard, most notably staff, Stephanie Hummel and Jason Flatt, to really make sure that we are honoring the integrity of those districts and those buildings to preserve that piece of history. Okay, promotion. Events are the thing I think that most folks recognize us for. And of course, as you saw through the design, you can see that we're involved in doing a lot of other things as well. But on the promotion side, we do about a little more than 50 events a year when you include series-based events. And it attracts approximately 500,000 people to the Broadway District every single year. So these are folks that come here. We have really good economic impact data that we pull on this to really get a sense and understanding of how these folks are spending money when they do come down here. And of course, the farmers market, which is the largest event that we do that is responsible for about half of those visitors. Something new with the farmers market program this year that was really cool was this mini boss program. Excuse me, actually we started 2 years ago, but we expanded it this past year because it was so popular. And you get these, excuse me, you get these kids that come in, and we want to teach them entrepreneurship at an early age. And when you get to them early, right, these are hopefully going to be the kids that someday open up storefronts and businesses down here, but they make their own products, they sell them with the help of their parents. We'll work with them through some financial literacy. You know, when you get that money, what do you want to spend it on? Do you want to buy more inventory? Do you want to make more product? Or is it something where you want to take it and invest it on something that you want to do, right? And so, but it's been a really great program, sold out again this year, or filled up, I should say. We're grateful Capital Credit Union sponsors this event, and it's been just an incredible partnership to watch these kids kind of grow and come back year over year. The farmers market is also really important for battling food insecurity. And this doesn't get talked about enough, I don't think, but we had over $15,000 in produce. And if you think about the cost of peas and carrots, $15,000 is a lot of money. And, and this is funding that goes directly to our area shelters. So we're grateful for Schreiber Foods in Brown County, who had provided, thank you, Mary, who provided an ARPA fund, ARPA grant to really help with that. And so it allows us to really give vouchers to some of our shelters, and then they take that and they actually shop the market and they can bring it back to their respective facilities. So we had over a dozen shelters that we worked with locally to help those folks get fresh food into their system. We also do a Double Your Bucks program that we partner with Wello on. So if you have EBT and you bring that down to the market, the first $10 will be matched. So it helps bring down the cost that sometimes folks, it's a barrier really, right? Folks think that shopping at the farmer's market is more expensive. It's really not, but it at least helps eliminate that barrier, but more importantly, let that dollar go a little further. So thanks to Wello for continuing to support that program, not just with our market, but the other markets as well. And we do accept EBT. So if you ever happen to know individuals that are recipients, this is a great place for them to extend that dollar, if you will. The 11 Amp Green Bay Music Series is going into its third year this year. Excuse me. And this event is really more than just a concert series. And if you work with the Levitt Foundation nationally, as our team does, this is really about creating inclusive spaces. One, they target areas that have an underutilized public space. And for us, that's Leicht Park. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Even though it's a nice park, it's on the waterfront, it doesn't see a lot of activation throughout the year. And then when you look at the musicians that we bring in, one, they're all nationally recorded, and so the quality of these folks is really, really high. But then secondarily, it's about making sure that you're bringing in music that is reflective of the composition of your community, and Green Bay hasn't always experienced that. And so, there's only so many country bands a guy can take, and so how do we, continue to bring in different types of music, different genres, and allow people to experience that and experience different cultures. And we bring in different partners that provide performances. Barb in New North last year partnered with Color Bold Association to create a market within that event for some of our minority-owned businesses here locally and create a really great opportunity that sometimes they don't always have and connect with that audience. So this has been a real great event for us. And it kind of flies under the radar. We do the Fire Over the Fox event. We've been doing this one for a few years now, maybe 6 or 7. And so Allie and her team do a wonderful job. This is one of the biggest events that happens in Green Bay, of course, until the draft comes through and takes over that crown. But a lot of coordination, a lot of planning, and the city, of course, is a partner on this in terms of security and sanitation and things like that. But this is a very large event and takes a lot of effort and time and planning, and so we're grateful for the team that does that every year. We added something, this was new last year, a Latin stage. And this was part of that diverse business assistance grant that we received, and we said, hey, we need to integrate more things into all of our events if we want our events to be more inclusive. And the Latin stage, it's just one of those simple things, right? Nobody ever really talked about it, never thought about it. 20% of the individuals in Green Bay are of Hispanic or Latin background. How do you miss something so simple? And we added this, and it became our most popular stage at the event overnight. And so we are constantly looking for more ideas like this to integrate into our other events. And so, and I would even say where we got the idea for this was a farmer's market. We had a Latin band that would play there, and it was always just so well attended and vibrant and exciting. And so we made it bigger, and that's what you see there. Our Ignite markets continue to go. We used to do, 4 of them a year. We narrowed it down to 2 because we said, these events are very expensive to produce. So how do we take that same number of resources but create a bigger punch out of 2 events? And Fox Communities Credit Union has been our partner on this one, and for ever since its beginning, really. And so it's been really cool to create this opportunity for artisans and makers. This is an event where we really focus on the artists. All original live music. So again, nationally touring performers are typically our headliners here. And it really allows us to elevate the arts in a way that some of our other markets just really don't do. The Chris Kindle Market we started 3 years ago, and this has become an absolute hit in an unexpected way. When we went to Grand Rapids, Michigan a couple years ago with the downtown folks, one of the things that they talked about was winter activation. They really double down on that, and they say just people want to come out in the winter. There's just never anything for them to do. So that's when we started the Chris Kindle Market. Now it occurs, we expanded the number of days, we expanded the chalets. Allie and the team added a big sort of beverage or food tent that was really popular, a warming tent. And we, well, it's really getting to me. We did 6 weekends, so 12 total events. We expanded the hours this year. And this event, in its 3rd year, saw over 40,000 people come through. And so it creates this support for the small businesses that actually operate out of this event. But for our retail shops, in the month of December, when it's such a critical time for them, this brings in a different clientele, if you will. It's individuals that are looking to shop. They come to this event because they want to shop, and then when they shop here, they've patronized the other small retailers up and down the street. And so this, the feedback we've received from our retail businesses down here has been really positive. Okay. This is, we do the igloos up on the rooftop of the Herkman Mechanical Building, which has been really popular too, and those have sold out every year. Something new this year is we continue to think about ways, how do we get folks into stores? That's really important. And that's one of the, when you do something like the farmer's market, there's no guarantee that they're coming into the stores. And so how do you, the farmer's market delivers other value and benefits, we think, but we're always thinking about, again, people need to get inside of stores and spend money, and so the Sweet Summer Stroll is something that Allie and her team came up with. So it's going to be a stroll through the different stores within the Broadway District to experience different snacks and treats. So we hope to see you out for that one when that's released, but this is at least a new event offering. We didn't want to push the envelope too much on big events, big changes. We've got a lot of other big things going on, and so we felt like this was a really nice addition that wasn't too time intensive, that we can test out and see if it has a positive effect. And of course, it wouldn't be anything in Green Bay right now if we didn't at least talk about the draft very briefly. And the city of Green Bay really wanted to do an event. We were actually not planning to do an event, and I know downtown Green Bay's got some really great things that they're working on, a Booyah Battle and a Saturday market that they're doing, draft edition. We were hoping to have this at the Shipyard. That was the goal, and then the turf didn't establish fast enough, so it got moved over to Leicht Park. And now we are partnered up with the city of Green Bay to really kind of not only be the fiscal agent, but sort of help guide some of the planning coordination around this, along with Tom Johnson, who I'm sure many of you know, who does a great job with booking music here locally. And that will occur over in Leicht Park. If anybody has an interest in sponsoring this event, we encourage you to reach out to the mayor. I know that he's looking for folks, but this will be a national headliner. The main act will be, hopefully we'll recognize them when that's announced, but that'll be the Wednesday before the draft. And Festival Foods has agreed to do fireworks because we said, look, the draft isn't just about the folks that visit. It's about the people that live here, right? School's canceled that week. We want to create things that people here can experience as well. And then, of course, our retail promotions that we do throughout the year. These are things, again, intended to get people directly into the stores and promote different holiday seasons to make sure that our retail is successful, because if you don't have a strong retail corridor, you really aren't going to have a great downtown. Okay. So this just shows some of our digital reach. We partner with What's Up Downtown, with Downtown Green Bay to actively promote the entirety of downtown. And of course, the website, our email stuff, as I mentioned, Quincy and Mary kind of lead the team on this. We do a lot of earned media. We had over 130 stories last year. And the value of this is incredible. We promote our businesses. We obviously promote our events and different initiatives happening down here. Whenever we have an opportunity to pitch a story, we will do it. And Mary was able to track 130 stories last year. And here's sometimes we get on shows, sometimes they're brief interviews, sometimes it's the press. I see Jesse from the Press Gazette is here. And, so we're grateful for those partnerships to continue to help tell those stories. And you can see just the social media reach and impressions of what we do to help encourage and promote our businesses, but then to get people down here into the district. Okay. Economic vitality. This is one of my favorite pillars as well for a different reason, and it's because without the businesses up and down our corridor, downtown can also be a very boring place. And you really want to get the right types of businesses so that your folks can connect in a healthy way with what's happening down here. It's nothing worse, right? And you guys probably have all seen this on Facebook or some other platform. There's nothing to do downtown. Well, people are wrong. There's a lot to do downtown, but sometimes you got to get outside your comfort zone and experience businesses that maybe you don't always think about. And so we're going to talk about those a little bit. But first, and this isn't meant to be, by the way, you're going to see some things in here. It is impossible for us to cast an all-inclusive list. So, but we did want to highlight a couple of really cool things that we knew were happening this year. One, Bernson's Candies has always been here in the Broadway District, has had multiple buildings, but they are going to be celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. And what I appreciate about them is they're like, look, no matter whatever happens with the Broadway District, this is our home. This is where we want to be. It's where our roots were, and we are so excited to have them here. Zulu celebrated their 10th anniversary this year, right across the street, and provides a really, yeah, please. You know, and that's an example, again, of another retail shop that is really cool that brings people down here. Jake's Pizza has two stories that go hand in hand here. One is, of course, as many of you know, started on Main Street. It is going to be their 50th anniversary as a business, but their 10th anniversary here in the Broadway District. So businesses, if you're out there and you are celebrating an anniversary, please let us know because we want to tell that story and we want to help promote you. A couple of new businesses that have opened this past year that we thought were pretty cool. Larkin Lace opened in a space in the Platten Place building, hair salon. If you're looking for an appointment, please reach out to Bree. Sanctuary Tattoo, which is a couple doors down over here. Eric and his partner here have done some really great things with that space. It's really cool. It kind of got, you can see the neon lights and a little edginess to it, which is a fun and playful space. String Instrument Workshop. Larry had run that place for a number of years, and Larry finally gets to retire. And so we're very happy for him, but more importantly, this was such a cool space, one of the original businesses that opened here in the Broadway District when we started those revitalization efforts 30 years ago, and he was able to sell it to one of his students. So excited to see that business continue on. And then we also talk about redevelopment of buildings. And so the former Bangkok Garden building, which many of you know, Mikey's Pub, one of my favorite karaoke places, and Bangkok Garden, of course. And sometimes buildings get old, right? And they need to breathe and live a little bit, and they yearn sort of for that redevelopment opportunity. And so here's a before and after. When Bangkok Garden decided, hey, we're going to sell the building because Pachia wanted to retire. And so they sold it, and we had a local developer that's on our board, Garrett Bader, pulled together some partners who are all Broadway District businesses or property owners, and went in on this building and brought a new sense of life to it. And this is what that second floor looked like. It was mothballed, right? And nothing was happening up there. And in fact, and this is the after, not only was nothing happening up there, but there were a lot of structural issues with the building that sometimes take a little bit of effort to figure out. But then they brought in this new vibrancy, right? Irish Temper, if you haven't been in there, a really cool, quaint Irish pub that does offer a limited menu. 5 thumbs up cheesecake, if you like cheesecake. And they've got some other things, Kringles and other things too. But cheesecake being their specialty, and that is the type of retail activation that you like to see. Wisconsin Bank and Trust occupied that corner space. If not for their original commitment and lease to this building, I don't think you can redevelop this building. There are not many people who can take a building in that $2 million range and figure it out and know how to make something like that work. And that team of owners did just that, and we're very grateful for their investment. In the rail yard area, this is something new. Carrie Duke, who is here today, Spaces. This is a co-working space, national. It's part of the Regis umbrella, so very similar to other larger folks like WeWork, but they have a different model with local ownership. And so the team at the rail yard will also be an owner of this space. And you can see this is they are taking folks right now. As you can see, just a beautiful space. If you're looking for a small office, they've got some really cool things in here, including conference rooms and other shared spaces. So Carrie, where's Carrie? raise your hand, Carrie, over here. Feel free to meet up with Carrie. And now, Del, where are you at? All right. I'm going to actually invite up for a couple of minutes here Del Cobb, who has a new business venture that he is working on. And this guy was so passionate about what he's doing. I said, you know what? I don't want to tell your story. I want you to tell it. So, Del.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. So I hope to convey the passion because that's what I have going on there. So a little bit about myself is over 20 plus years of working for corporate. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Sometimes I joke about the 1,000 emails I get daily and the different charts. But it was time to change something. It was change the career choice. And I have a friend that is in the business, has crepe shops and bakery shops, very successful in the southern of France, Bernard. He actually came here. We looked at a lot of places, and we picked this one. Of all the places, we picked this one. We loved the feel of it. Kind of looked right for the project. So here we are, and unfortunately, due to a few things, he wasn't able to commit right now. We're still in talks. We will pick that up down the road. But I thought I was so invested in it. I poured so much of my heart into it, and I put a lot of research. I had to eat a lot of crepes in the southern of France. That was a challenge. I can't just do that and give up, so I'm gonna go all the way. And I made him crepes, and he's like, thumbs up, they are good. So I thought, that's it, that's all I need. So here I am. This is a replica of the Eiffel Tower, about 12 foot. We're gonna build a nice outdoor space, put this outside with the lights so you won't miss it. This is gonna be, hopefully next year, I will be here saying 1 year, and then every year after that. Another thing about crepes is I loved it because it connects me to, I have an 11-year-old, and I've been making him crepes every morning. He eats crepes every morning for breakfast, and he thought that every single kid ate crepes for breakfast. I was like, not really, until I discovered at school that he was the only one eating crepes every morning. So yeah, the crepes to me connects me to a lot of things. I have family and friends in France. I'm fortunate to visit, and they visit me here. It connects me to my son. It is something that, when I do it, so if you're driving by and you see some crazy guy just dancing and it's just me, music, I'm just having fun, wake up in the morning and do something I'm very passionate about, that actually is just like, what else do I want from life? And one of the reasons we chose and end up choosing Broadway is it's developing, and there's a lot of people that I'm very thankful for. Josh here, Brian, Fatma, Paul, Brent. There's a lot of people that I met in this journey that they do care a lot, and a lot is put into developing this area. And I can see the future of it, and I can see it's heading in the right direction. And that's another thing that motivates me to be part of it, is just seeing that, adding something to this big picture, this big project, and then being able to kind of just say, I am part of this, it's very rewarding. It's very it gives me purpose. And like I said, it's just like waking up in the morning, having a purpose is just something that, I want to be doing every single day. So what else to add to that? I'm sorry?
That's perfect.
That is perfect. Yeah. All right. I was not prepped, so I was just like winging it.
Yeah.
So,
all
right.
Thank you, Del.
Thank you very much.
So, thank you. Okay, here's why I wanted you guys to meet Del. One of the programs, La Petite Quan, by the way, did I get it right, Del? Man, you've got such a nice accent with it. I got to work on that. Okay, so one of our most underutilized programs that we offer for businesses in our district is this Kiva loan program. If you're not familiar with Kiva, it is a micro-lending program, but because we are partnered with the state of Wisconsin as a designated Main Street community, we have access to leverage what individuals can do. So for minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses, the state will actually match what we can raise locally. Think of it like a GoFundMe, but GoFundMes have different purposes. This is actually a loan. It is 0%, but it's meant, one of the biggest barriers for businesses is that original startup capital. Think about that $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 range, where a lot of times you don't have an asset that you can pledge as collateral. A lot of businesses use credit cards. That's not a healthy way, right? Because it puts you behind the 8 ball right away. And so Kiva is a really wonderful program to do that. Now the city has a revolving loan fund program, and usually that's just been an easier path, but when that program is fully exhausted as it is right now, Kiva becomes a really wonderful option. And so we are working on this right now with Dell. We're going to launch this program. Because you guys are here, you're all going to get a notice on this. We would love for you to contribute to this. And keep in mind, it's a loan. So that means when he pays back his principal every month, you eventually get that funding redistributed back into your Kiva account. And if you choose, you can cash out, but you can also reallocate it towards another business and help that business achieve their goals. So we're really excited to be able to help support Dell in that way. And you know, and this is again, even if you're not women, minority, or veteran owned, you can still leverage this program. It's just that the state helps match it if you're in that bucket. So really excited to see this happen. It's gonna be more of a cafe format, not just crepes, right? So we're gonna see coffee, tea, sandwiches. It'll be open during the lunch hour. So can't wait when you open the doors there. Okay, Diverse Business Assistance Grant. I just want to acknowledge again Fatma and all the great work she's done. The compliance period of this ended at the end of 24. For those who missed it, this was about $1 million grant that came from the state to really help advance a number of initiatives. We were able to give away over $300,000 in micro grants to businesses here in our district that helped occupy storefronts that were previously vacant. We provided a lot of training for those businesses to help not only help them grow, but then reduce that failure rate. As all small businesses, you know, have a higher chance of that, we wanted to eliminate that barrier. We grew the number of partnerships and volunteers. We worked on housing with that. You know, just a lot of different things, including we laid the groundwork for a retail incubator where we do have some funding. We're still working through the way some of that's going to work, but we think that's going to be another great project in our district to help occupy retail storefronts when they do go vacant. And so this is just some of the folks that we were able to support. Some of them were in the events that we did, where we were able to waive those event fees and get folks into our events, which oftentimes serve as an incubator to permanent storefronts. I want you to think about Voyager's Bakehouse or Bay Area Burger or Aurora's Apothecary. Those are businesses that started in an event and then eventually got to a brick and mortar. And so we think it's important. Events are important incubators to get folks involved. But then we were also able to help some of our existing businesses provide renovations or expansion opportunities. Many of you know that Hansel had actually, he was down here, found a different location, but he's back. So he actually bought a building down the road here. And this program was able to help him do that so that he could expand his services on that front. Residential is really important to downtowns. Historically, we have not had enough of that down here. And it's the thing that was really holding us back as a district, because when people live downtown, they activate your street front, but more importantly, they spend money. The national average per unit is $14,000 that is directly spent within the vicinity of that apartment. So sometimes you get apartments that have 2 people, right? So that's how you can extend that dollar. But they're grocery shopping, they're going to restaurants, right? They're spending a lot of money in that immediate vicinity. And so we really want to continue to drive residential density, because a lot of times these projects have retail space in the front. So some of the stuff that's happened over the last couple of years, the rail yard condominiums, 8 units, Broadway lofts, Fort at the Rail Yard. I'll just kind of rifle through some of these. The Fort at the Rail Yard is leasing right now. They are open. And so this is 238 units. Think about this as your teachers, entry-level salespeople, maybe a police officer, right? Sort of some of those units are subsidized, some of them are market rate, but it is really going to create a high level of density down there. The analogy I like to create with this building, I don't think people realize how many units this is. If you were to stack this up on the same size site as Metro or City Deck Landing, this would be a 20 to 30 story tall building. This is a big building when you drive around it and you see how it wraps around an entire block. So they are leasing right now. This is an actual photo instead of the rendering. Merge Urban Development is slated to break ground this spring on the first of two buildings, 225 units on the site of the Shipyard, and it will include some retail activation, and these will be market rate. The Badger sheet metal site, there is a planning option extended on that right now. That is a contaminated site, and we're going to have to remediate it and do some demolition. I think that'll happen here probably this summer. But this will include the new fire station that the city needs to build for the west side. It'll also include a little bit of retail. These sites are difficult, but first time this is being shared publicly. Thank you, Matt, over at the city for giving us a little bit of taste. There's some really cool renderings that go along with this. I can't show you those yet, but this is what's called a massing study, so it allows you to see what type of density you can achieve. And this aligns with the Shipyard Vision Corridor Plan that the EPA funded and helped us achieve a couple years ago to identify the type of buildings or properties you want to see on the sites within the southern end of the Broadway District there. So as you can see, some retail on that first floor gives you a sense of how tall the building's going to be and how the parking and everything else gets configured. This is oftentimes the first step when you're trying to imagine how to develop a site. Additionally, we have an RFP out for, this is behind the public market, so city-owned lots. We feel that we can get 300 parking stalls there, so 3 stories of parking, which would allow you 4 to 5 stories of stick frame up above, and bring in 70 to 90 units. This will be a phased development. A lot of times that's the way things happen. It can be great if you can get everything to go at once, but sometimes you got to phase stuff. But this would be the site of where that is, behind the public market there. And then this gives you a sense of what that ramp looks like when you have a footprint back there. The goal is to try to restore that street grid, Chestnut connecting over to Hubbard, so that you've got a hard 90 or a hard corner there, but really taking advantage of that lot. Surface lots don't attract, again, I go back, surface lots aren't interesting. So how do you create buildings that are interesting, that bring in people, that have a parking solution contained within them? But the purple that you see down there is retail. That's retail space facing your street front. That's what you want to see. And this is a massing study, again, that just allows you to see probably what that building would look like if you did three floors of parking and then put your residential on top. So this would be probably the tallest building on the west side, minus Lambeau Field and the hospitals, but certainly in the Broadway District. Okay, the Shipyard. This was the site. This was split up into phases, and Matt Buchanan was the project manager on this. I think some folks from Parks are starting to take over, but a big project, and it took a while because this was a very challenging, difficult site. You had a remediation, it was in the floodplain, and you had to correct a lot of those things. But phase 1 is complete, and if you haven't been over there, please go check it out. It's cool. It's got the promenade and the floating docks and the kayak launch and the fishing pier. Ribbon cutting was hosted in October, I think it was, and some actual photos of some of the really cool amenities that were installed there. Phase 2 is going to happen this year, going to start this year. That'll be anchored or buoyed by a grant from the National Park Service for $5 million. So congrats to Matt on applying and receiving that award. Grants are not easy to get, and so that's a big one, and we're very proud of that accomplishment. But this will include the Great Lawn, the Dog Park, Urban Beach, some of those other interior amenities. These are renderings of what some of those things would look like. And then phase 3 is to be determined, and that was the container park. The reality is this thing, like many projects today, turned out to be way more expensive than we had anticipated, and so we have to find the right partner with phase 3, and we're having some conversations there, and we think that this will be a great addition when it happens, but unfortunately the timeline's to be determined based on when that partner comes to the table. But it is a container park that we're looking to achieve similar to what we see in Toronto. These are just 2 different renderings to give you a little feel. Again, don't get hung up on colors, right? That all changes. The design changes. A lot of stuff changes. This is to give you a sense and a feel of what can be accomplished here. The coal piles, of course, are immediately adjacent there. You've probably seen a lot of this in the news, and the county just did a request for information for which C. Rice responded to. So wanted everyone to understand that this is not, it's still being actively talked about, and there's still a great opportunity here, and we think that getting this out of the downtown area would be really important for the success of the Shipyard in that immediate vicinity. So we do continue to work on that. This was covered in the news recently, the Leicht Park Pavilion. ISG is doing the design on this, and we did just extend the engineering contract. We've been working on this, a couple of years now, but it has a capacity for 1,000 to 1,500 people. We'll include public restrooms, and total project $7 million. It'll come in phases as well. And the reason it's going to come in phases is because originally this TID was set for closure, and the city Parks Department wanted to put in a public restroom, and that would have been about $750,000. And we kind of stepped in and said, hey, what if we partnered on this? And instead of just a bathroom, we actually fulfill the vision that a lot of folks have had for this site. And we're grateful that the parks jumped on board with that, as did the city. And so the city was able to allocate a little bit more funding from the TID for this, and then On Broadway is raising some funds for this to match some of that. But this is the footprint for it. Again, challenging site. A lot of folks may look at this when it's done and be like, I don't understand why we didn't take advantage of some spaces here differently. You have contamination on the left-hand side of the screen here that cannot be disrupted. On the right-hand side, immediately behind the stage, New Water has a huge pipe that goes under, services the entire west side, goes under the river, 10 feet, right? It's a no-build easement. You can't move that. That's what pushes the site in a little bit more, but we also think it creates the quaintness and the right size that you want for this type of facility. And so we're really excited that this will be breaking ground on the pavilion piece and the site work this year. This is the updated rendering of what this would look like. So we wanted something that was artistic and unique and distinct, and not the kind of thing that you see everywhere else. We didn't want a traditional park shelter, and so we think ISG has done a phenomenal job with hearing all of the different opinions that they've got to balance. As we talked in the beginning, are we building a park or are we building an event venue? The reality is we're building both, so how do you marry those things? And this is kind of where we're at with the rendering right now. So more to come on that in the future. Rail Yard Innovation District, we just want to touch on a few things here real quickly. They've just done some amazing work over there. Not only the road work that's gone in, Donald Driver Way, Kellogg and Bond, and reconnected that street grid, which is really important. But they've been one of the key drivers of business openings in the district. And so over 70 businesses have been added over there, over $100 million invested. And that team just continues to do amazing work. As you can see, this is the site plan. There are still a couple of future development opportunities that could occur on those vacant sites as you see there. But the thing that we're really excited about is the last of those buildings. These are photos a few months old. If you go down there, check it out. That's where Spaces that we talked about is going to be located. But this is what these buildings, right, in progress. These old warehouse buildings, you want to preserve them. When you tear them down, you never get them back. And they add so much character to your district. And that team over there, Paul, Josh, Karen, Brian, have done such a great job with preserving these buildings and adding a whole lot of square footage and businesses downtown. Okay, on the final stretch. So Green Bay Public Market, we get a lot of questions. This project is hard, it's complicated. I'm not gonna mince words. And normally when you see capital campaigns that happen in your community, you have a quiet period where you raise a ton of money, right, before you go public, and that quiet period sometimes can last a year, even 2 years. And we did it a little bit differently because of our ability to take advantage of some government funding. And so we didn't have a quiet period, and that's why this thing seems like it's taking so long, because you're seeing the full cycle instead of just the public cycle. But we have an amazing team on our capital campaign that is surrounded around this thing that has really helped make this project happen. And we're really excited about the progress. Just some quick renderings. If you've been over there, you've seen, right, things that have come apart. The preservation of these mosaics was really important to some folks in our community and to us. We're glad that they made the suggestion because we were able to preserve those, and we're going to repurpose them in a real meaningful way to acknowledge the history of that building. The inside is demoed, right? There's one office that's up there on the second floor yet. That'll be coming out soon. That first floor will be coming out soon, that concrete pad, because we have to run all kinds of new utilities underneath. We got delayed a little bit. We had to do some environmental remediation. Actually, not remediation, environmental testing that came back negative. We did a second round, and thankful that the second round came back and said, hey, you're clear, you're good. And so now that that testing's wrapped up, we can actually start some of that work and get in there. But when you do these buildings, you find some surprises. An old Gettleman building on the side of where stage 1 is located right now. And so we're going to preserve that on the second floor. We think that's really cool, and can't wait to see what's behind the rest of that wall there. This is the team that is working on it right now. Myself and Brooke and Mary, more of a part-time capacity. Ron works on this full-time every day, but it is a big project.
A new facility like the Green Bay Public Market is going to become a destination for visitors from all over the area and all over the country.
Public markets are true community centers. They're energy. It's food, it's foodie culture, it's having a drink, it's socializing, it's hanging out with friends and meeting new ones. It's supporting a business. They are magnets. They draw people in.
We have Oneida citizens that live throughout this region, and it helps them, I think, feel a part of the community and a part of the development, and gives them something to have some pride in. There's a lot of support and encouragement for the development, redevelopment, and to highlight the history, the culture, and certainly to embrace tourism in this area.
This is a venue that will really be a catalyst for an awful lot of things to come.
If we have this here, which is so massive, and you have other people, so many people coming to see it, I feel like many people will come downtown with great, thriving boutique businesses. It's going to be much more vibrant.
Our community is really changing in a way that is bringing in so many different cultures, so many different folks. I think it is the right time for us as a community to really be thinking about how are we creating more inclusive spaces where all of these different cultures and all these different backgrounds can really come together and achieve some of their health and well-being goals, certainly, but also can continue to connect more deeply with this community that we all now call home.
Okay, so this is what the second floor looks like. Or sorry, first floor. You can see how these retail spaces lay out. We've said 20 to 24 tenants because some might combine spaces and do different things, but it gives you a sense of the density that we expect to see around here. And keep in mind, this is not a food court. It is a public market. That means you're going to have retail products that offer, that balance out what you would see. This is the second floor where you can see kind of the way that some of that lays out. Much like Milwaukee, where you have a second floor that overlooks that first floor. We have hosted the groundbreaking this fall, beautiful day that really showed the broad community support we had around that, and partners like Barb and Gail, Diane, and Kate that have really helped spearhead a number of our fundraising initiatives around this. We talk a lot about Milwaukee as a case study, and we know it's not apples to apples. We have visited over 50 public markets internationally. People do it on their vacations between our cabinet and our staff. Milwaukee sees 2 million visitors a year and $27 million in sales. But the thing that strikes me the most, that most people are surprised when I tell them, they have a 26,000 square foot facility. Why is our project taking a little bit more time and a little bit more expensive, but something that I think will create more opportunity? Our building is 48,000 square feet. So it is 20,000 more square feet than Milwaukee's, just to give you a sense of scale. One of the cool things that's happening is Milwaukee is hosting the International Public Market Conference this year. Happens every 2 years in different cities across the world. We went to it last time in Toronto. We learned a ton, and we are excited to get back and be a partner with the one that they're doing this year. As you can see, there's a lot of different funding sources that go into something like this. And I'm just gonna rifle through some of this because we do have deeper announcements that we'll make on this in the coming months. But then these are some of the funding uses. There's a lot of things that go into this, from property acquisition, to construction. Architecture, engineering, design alone is incredibly significant for a project like this. So our hope is to close our capital stack on this. Probably about April is what we're looking at, because that's being driven by some of our new market tax credits, where we would look for substantial completion in spring of 2026. Certainly off the timeline that we had originally hoped for. We wanted to see something for the draft. The reality is, as things started to evolve around a big project like this, we just saw that it wasn't going to be possible. But now we're still committed to bringing, obviously, a very high-quality project to our community, and doing it on a timeline we think that is really comfortable and still in alignment with what you would expect to see for a project this size. So hopefully, overall, you got a sense that On Broadway isn't just events, right? There's a whole lot of things going on in all of those pillars, and it takes a great team, and we're grateful to have them. And so with that, I'm gonna quickly call up Allie Tutt, who is going to share some info about our Volunteer of the Year.
All right, that was a lot. Nice work. All right, so I do have the privilege and honor to announce our Volunteer of the Year award this year. This person has dedicated over 100 hours of her time to our organization and its events. She could be seen behind every single farmers market at the beverage tent, the Ignite markets, and the Levitt Amp Green Bay concert series. She also braved the cold 4 times this year at the Chris Kindle Market, working our beverage tent as well. This year's Volunteer of the Year is Julie Hill. Julie is an absolute delight to work with. She has become a respected ambassador for On Broadway. She leads our volunteer team with a smile and positive attitude and a wealth of knowledge regarding how our events are run. She truly has a laugh that just makes you smile. She is always the first to step in when an extra hand is needed and has forged many friendships with our other volunteers. When asked why she likes volunteering for On Broadway, she said she genuinely enjoys working with the On Broadway team, our other volunteers, and contributing to a fun and vibrant downtown community. Julie has been volunteering with On Broadway and throughout the community for over 10 years. Her first introduction was through her employer's VTO program. They offered 8 hours of VTO, but that is nothing compared to the approximately 300 total hours annually that she puts in between On Broadway and various other community organizations. Julie is an outstanding member of the Green Bay community, and we are so honored to have her presence, dedication, and support of the organization. We did celebrate our Volunteers Awards, as Brian mentioned, this past week, so she did receive her award then, but Julie, please stand. She's in the crowd. There she is, right over here. Let's give her a huge round of applause. We appreciate everything that you do. All right, and I'm gonna bring Brian Johnson back up and Linda Bova to talk about our board members.
This one or?
Oh,
Yep,
just
Paul
kidding.
First.
We're doing the Palm Jaden Impact Award.
Okay, so this was an award that, I'll take that for Paul. So that we created this. This was a staff-selected award. In fact, the Daniel Whitney Award from the Chamber was the inspiration of this. But it was introduced as an award to recognize an individual who demonstrates exceptional commitment and drive in affecting meaningful change within the Broadway District. And it honors those who consistently go above and beyond in their contributions. This is a staff-selected award, so there's no nomination process, but it is one where the staff identifies somebody who we feel is making a very meaningful impact to the district year over year. We decided to name this after Paul because, Paul Jaden, because of the, really the remarkable impact that he had on the start, not only of the Broadway District, but some of the work he had at the state level. So we have invited him to share a few words about that history.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you to On Broadway. It's very heartwarming to have an award like that named for you. But of course, what it suggests to a lot of people is, when did that guy die? I just want to share a little bit. Brian's only given me an hour to give you the history of Broadway, so I'll be very quick. We started in 1995 at the state level getting the recognition, and I just want to share with you some of the very basic things that happened briefly that for some reason I recall, excuse me, this is contagious, but for instance, the Leicht Park. We had a major fire there, excuse me, in about 98, I believe. And there was a rumor going around that a witness saw a young man with a gas can around the building who looked suspiciously like the mayor. But it did give us the opportunity to open the dialogue with the Leicht family. Ultimately, they gave us the property, and then ultimately Georgia Pacific paid for all of the development. So that's an example of the wonderful corporate community that we had on Broadway. We also raised $400,000 to start the process, and then I gave another $30,000 every year, like we did with DGBI, because we created DGBI a year later. Those are the kinds of things that I'm most thrilled about in terms of what I see happening today, because we had to go through an awful lot of stuff just to get started, just to prepare the street for the kind of things that Brian is able to share with you. So I had about another 45 minutes, but I'm going to have to stop now because of my voice. And I look forward to sharing the award recipient and talking a little bit about him in a minute. Thanks.
So, we can't do these things without a strong foundation, and obviously it's the work that Paul did and others to really help make that happen. And we are very grateful for that, because it's allowing us, as Paul said, to do some of the stuff that we are talking about today. This year's recipient is someone who has made a very notable impact that was talked about already with some of the things that were going on. You think about the investment that has come into this area, over $100 million, the residential units, 400 residential units in this area, 70 businesses, road work. This individual took a very, very challenging project with historic buildings and exercised great patience, determination, and care, working with his team to ensure that the Broadway District would benefit years to come. And it is this year, it is our honor to introduce this year's award recipient, Paul Belschner, for his work with the Rail Yard Innovation District. Paul was not able to be here today. He is in Florida, so we're going to invite up Josh Schmitz, Karen, and Brent Weicker. Is he here yet? Yep, come on in, to accept the award on his behalf, but we did get a few words recorded from Paul.
Good morning, welcome, and thank you for attending On Broadway's annual State of the District.
Hey, thanks, guys.
I wish I could be with you today in person, but outdoor, warm weather pickleball called my name. So thank you very much for the honor to be presented with the Paul Jaden Impact Award. It means the world to me. Thinking through and knowing that the award stands for consistency and commitment and meaningful change to the district means even more. For decades, I've had the opportunity to work with Paul, and he's steadfast in his impact. And in 2007, he was the chamber president, and he became a partner. And we had the chance to develop what's now known as the Chamber of Commerce building together. And we enjoyed doing it, but nobody knew what was going to hit us in 2008 with the global economic adjustment and lower employee counts. And the chamber building opened in 2008, and Paul took some flack. And folks were telling him that he didn't need that much space, and the chamber was fine where they were. Those weren't risk takers. Those are armchair quarterbacks. Those are naysayers. Those are the folks that want to tell you what you do wrong. Paul was steadfast, stayed the course, knew he had made the right decision on behalf of the Greater Green Bay Chamber and the Greater Green Bay community. Looking forward, that 1/3 of an acre at what we call today the Rail Yard Innovation District was a catalyst project in the 22-acre redevelopment of the Larson Canyon properties. Great job, Paul. I'm proud to be named the award recipient. 2013, Brent Weicker and Titletown Brewing chose to expand their brewing capacity. That was another catalyst. Moving forward, we have over 70 businesses that we call partners. They're tenants in a lease, but we call them partners. And they've been with us for 10 plus years. They're renewing their leases, they're expanding. One of those businesses is with you today as your title sponsor, American National Bank, Paul Northway and his team. Not only did they choose to locate downtown, they expanded, they invested, and now they're giving back. So thank you very much. Thank you to everybody at Base Companies. Josh Schmitz runs a great group of people that make things happen on a daily basis. You have our commitment that we're not going anywhere, and we're going to continue to make On Broadway and the Broadway District a special place that it's become. Have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the meeting.
So congratulations once again to Paul and his entire staff. I think you're an example of the people on Broadway who understand that there is no goal line in this game. With any luck, you're always playing in the red zone, and you'll always be on offense. So congratulations to Paul. I appreciate the fact that he mentioned the chamber building, because we did take a significant risk by moving from the east side over to the west, and it did help significantly with the development over in the rail yard. So I want to leave by once again thanking all of you for what you do, but also congratulating On Broadway for 30 wonderful years. To see the vision coming through that we started with in 1995 is tremendously heartwarming for me. Thank you all, and good luck for the next 30.
All right. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. We're on the home stretch. I'm a klutz, so coming up on high partitions is not a good thing. All right, I'd like to take a moment to recognize two outstanding individuals for their service to the On Broadway Board of Directors. First, we want to acknowledge Barb Lemieux, President and CEO of New North. Barb served as board president during one of the most ambitious times in OBI history. Her leadership was key in guiding the organization and empowering staff to take on major projects like the Shipyard development, Leicht Park redevelopment, and the Green Bay Public Market, each of which will bring monumental change to the Broadway District. Barb's leadership will continue as she remains an integral part of the OBI Board of Directors as she transitions to the role of past president. Please welcome Barb to the stage to join me in join me in thanking her. Thank you, Barb. And now we'd like to, whoops, I'm sorry, I'm rushing it along. And now we would like to extend our sincere gratitude to outgoing board member Tommy Iverman, co-owner of Gather, today's host location. Tommy joined the board in June of 2020 and has been a dedicated champion for our Broadway businesses. His passion for the future of the district and tireless energy have made a lasting impact. Tommy, thank you for your time, commitment, and everything you've done during your term on the board. We truly appreciate all that you've contributed to the Broadway District.
All right. Everyone who's stuck in here with us, thank you very much. You must really want those pearl necklaces. So I'll be quick. We will draw 3 winners. You can walk over to the corner where Fatma is. Fatma, raise your hand, and she will hand you your prizes. So for the first pearl necklace, Lisa Cribben. Yay, Lisa! All right, our second pearl necklace, again, in honor of the 30th anniversary of On Broadway, Susan Finko. Woo! And our third winner today, Jeremy Delforge. I think I just saw him walk out, but I'll let him know, good friend. All right, in conclusion, just want to once more thank our event sponsors. We couldn't do it without you. Many of the sponsors you see here on this screen, they sponsor several on-Broadway events throughout the year, so my gratitude extends far beyond this morning. For everyone who came today and attended, the Broadway District has come a very long way in 30 years. If you live here, if your business is here, if you like to dine here, shop here, spend time here, maybe you attend our farmers market, if what On Broadway has done in the last 3 decades inspires you, just imagine what we can do with the next 30. So we ask you to be partners along with us on continued transformative change here in the Broadway District, and we thank you for all of your partnerships genuinely. So thanks for attending today. We'll cut it off there short. Sorry we went long. Have a great day.